that you're comfortable with the picks, have a lot of stuns, have a lot of initiations, and go with that.
I like your bullet points there. And well, speaking of drafts, it looks like our draft is now going to be underway. EHOME are going to lead out their bands, removing the Darkseer and the Slardar. CDEC, no doom for you, as EHOME are going to be having the advantage of that first pick. The follow-up, sorry, 11, there will be no Eastern Tusk here, but look at the quick response from EHOME is securing the Queen of Pain.
Yeah.
Not just any Queen of Pain, this is a CTY Queen of Pain.
That is their most picked hero this tournament. They have won 4 matches on it, lost 2. But I think this is, I mean, Lumi said go for something safe. This is a comfort pick for them, a go-to hero. Definitely a strong start for them, I think, and happy for them.
Pretty big statement. You're on the Radiant side, you have first pick. You can grab the Shadow Fiend if you like. We've been talking time and time again. Such a quick mech timing on that hero. If you want to fight early, you could go for the mid-game SNY. For them to pass up the Shadow Fiend and go for the Queen of Pain, I mean, that is a comfort pick.
Yeah,
to the max.
Like this is, we got one game. It's already, I'm getting early inklings here from EHOME. It's like, let's get what we know we're best with right now. And the nice thing is that with it being a Queen of Pain, they might not need to build so much around it. They can probably trust that CTY is going to be able to get the job done, and they can put their focus maybe elsewhere, towards maybe their safe lane farmer. We'll have to see if that's going to be the case or not, but as you might try to feel comfortable with Queen of Pain, you might not be so comfortable seeing a Spirit Breaker now pop up on the other side. And look at the follow-up here. Going to be Alina, and it doesn't take long for EHOME to say, that's nice, but we got an Undying now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of the reason why they prefer Queen of Pain over Shadow Fiend. Shadow Fiend a lot less resistant to the charge gank from Spirit Breaker. Charge into LSA is going to get a Shadow Fiend kill. Obviously, Queen of Pain can blink away from that gank. So far, I like where EHOME is starting. Undying definitely gives Radiant some sort of Roshan fighting capability. We've seen, just in this tournament, how that Tombstone has really messed up a lot of Roche team fights.
Do have to say though, Lina could be okay against a Tombstone. You got long range, you got good attack speed to work with.
For sure.
So it is a bit interesting to see EHOME like, doesn't matter, we already know we want Undying, we got it now. Maybe they're thinking potential aggro off lane. It's kind of early to say, but we'll have to see if that's the case. EHOME though do respond, they're going to be banning out the Broodmother here. Not something we see a whole lot of from CDEC, but something that they obviously don't want to be going against. And the follow-up, Gyrocopter. Something we've been seeing way too much of, it feels like today. Whether it's a good pick or not, we're not going to be seeing it here.
Yeah, kind of happy with that, to be honest. Seeing some variation there. I really like CDEC's pick for the Spirit Breaker to get that on guard, get their initiation sorted, and now denying initiation potential from CDC. Already with the Tusk removed, now also Clockwork, which of course is one of the stronger Kaka heroes. And I am really curious to see what EHOME is going to try to secure for that. Obviously, Queen of Pain can be a bit of an initiator, and so can Undying, but you still want to have that one hero that can just stand there and tank it all and have enough sustain to live through the nukes that are going to be brought by CDC.
Now, I mentioned how maybe for CTY they don't have to worry too much about him and can let him do his thing in the lane. Do you think CDEC feel the same way if this is going to be like a Shiki Lina, or do they need to have a little bit of backup for this Lina to make sure that she'll have a good time? Because to be honest, Shiki was like a star-studded player at TI, but since then, I feel like it's been more aggressive, kind of being like, you know, the all-star player, and Shiki is trying to get back into the groove. And worthy to note, the respect ban already on the Phoenix that Kaka loves to play.
I mean, I feel like Shiki's game has actually not been, like, he has really picked it up for me in this tournament in particular. Had a huge Lina game, just, I think, in the group stage. So I wouldn't sleep on this guy, but to answer your question, what did they need to roam for Shiki? Well, CDEC really, they have the Spirit Breaker, so the roaming capability is always there. Whereas Queen of Pain, I think she's a pretty self-reliant hero. She has the blink to get away from most ganks. So I imagine the mid lane's going to be fairly static. We're going to see just good old 1v1. None of that gank, none of that roam. That said, though, if they need a roam, both teams have great heroes to do so. Like Undying going mid, throwing down Decay or two, that's good enough to pressure the Lina back.
So CDC picked up a bit of foundation supports, and Night Stalker to get grabbed. Something we don't see a lot from these Eastern teams, but it looks like EHOME are just ready to play with this. What do you think the purpose is of the Night Stalker here? Because up to this point, it was usually like a good go-to response for something like an Ember Spirit, let's say. Now, Ember hasn't been picked up yet, but maybe it could force CDC to second guess going down that road for aggressive.
They played it once earlier this game. This patch rather, Night Stalker. I think it's picked up mostly to secure the vision. If you already imagine Spirit Breaker's initiation is going to be not that strong because you can see him coming from miles away. Vision, so important for Spirit Breaker everywhere. And I'm not talking for when he actually charges in and you see him. No, I'm talking about wards. He can't charge anybody if he can't see them. And that's going to be, I think that I hope that this is a support Night Stalker.
Yeah, something that you touched on earlier is that, EHOME needs somebody tanky up front. Night Stalker is going to be that tank, no matter what position that he's playing at. Most likely, either Undying or Night Stalker is going to be the off lane, because running double melee supports is often kind of awkward. Somebody has to do that dewarding, right? You need a range hero for that. And for the most part, Night Stalker, regardless of his position, give you a fairly good way to cancel with that Spirit Breaker charge. And I think from the first game we saw CDEC, one of their best moments in team fight is isolating Dazzle and getting the quick kill on him, and then going to the rest of the team. So Night Stalker give you that on-point silence, get the quick kill on Dazzle, and then Queen of Pain does the rest against the rest of the team.
Is it not scary at all that they still committed with the Ember Spirit, even going against a Night Stalker who's known to contain the Ember Spirit quite a bit, as long as they do base a lot of their fights around that nighttime? And also, I'm curious about your thoughts about this Dragon Knight pickup from EHOME here. So Davion, we don't get to see him a whole lot. One could maybe be more of your solid rock and push for the objectives here.
Talk about melee cores. Now, the next ban is going to show what EHOME is thinking that Lina is going to be. Is she going to be a support? Is she going to be a core for Shiki? At this point, I would hope that it's for Shiki, so they can pick up a Winter Wyvern and get maybe Spirit Breaker for XZ instead. He does play that hero as well, so that we're going to have at least good Winter Curses coming out, because that is going to be a spell that is insanely powerful with the lineup that EHOME has.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's going to be a Shiki Lina, because that's how they play it most. You talked about how Garter plays a pretty good Spirit Breaker, so maybe they're going to draft another support. But like you said, using the next ban, we'll see how it goes. To answer your question, Dakota, the DK, I really like it a lot, because if you look at EHOME's draft so far, they got the silence on Night Stalker. That's pretty much it. Sure, maybe Queen of Pain will pick up a mid-game Orchid, but really can't depend on that. Let's say if she doesn't have a good farm in the lane. So DK for me is your stunner. You get a quick blink on him, and even heroes like Ember Spirit, who's normally pretty frisky in fights, blink on top of him, give him a good Dragon Tail, and just pile on the damage. Or maybe you blink on the Dazzle and kill him first. That's always a priority. So I like to see EHOME picking another stun, but starting with DK here ain't a bad place.
Now, I am curious how the laning setup would be here for EHOME, and what about their late game potential? We don't know DK or Queen of Pain to be too crazy in the late game. Yeah, they offer a lot, but it's not like the raw horsepower we see from, like, an Ember Spirit or, a lot of the other picks. Even a Slardar can contribute a lot in the late game here. I don't know Dragon Knight to be a really, dominant powerhouse, physical right-click kind of a hero.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and to be honest, I don't feel like EHOME has any strong particular timing to hit. For example, like, if you have SF, you get an early mech, maybe you could, get a tower or get a big fight. Yeah. Or you get triple BKB on your cores, and China teams really like that. I also don't really see that from here, so I think what EHOME wants to leverage their advantage is using that DK, get a T1 tower or two, get your Undying, Night Stalker pretty tanky, and just go for some sort of mid-game fight. I think they have to seek opportunity. This is not a team where you say, all right, we're 25 minutes, we know what to do, we could do it now.
They also seem like a lineup that might just, someone gets the mech, we get the sustain, and we come together. And I don't want to go as far as say death ball, but...
But who is going to get the mech in this game? That's the question. None of these heroes are your typical mech carriers. Which hero would they look to take to do that? Or maybe get a hero that has still a healing ability.
Yeah. It's possible. I could see Undying maybe getting a mech, but yeah, ideally not your candidate there, and that could be for this potential 5th pick. They don't need to go too far in the late game if they're not planning to take the game that late to begin with. Ban out a respect one at that on the Visage here, something that Q does play pretty frequently. Now we're going to have an answer soon as far as exactly where this Lina could end up. I'm still on board with the idea that Shiki's going to be playing it in the mid lane, but I am curious to see that now that CDC have recognized the Dragon Knight coming out and, they have all these big melee bruisers, if they're looking to respond and, perhaps time out the game a bit differently and take it a lot longer, or just pull out a bit of a defense so that EHOME can't have their way with all these structures and continue to build up a ridiculous economy.
Perfect. All right. So this still doesn't really give us too much information as to how the lanes go.
Who is off lane?
Yeah, could be Shaker, could be Spirit Breaker. I was gonna suggest the Chen pickup for EHOME because they did play one game this patch. DK Chen has kind of been the
That's a classic.
O pair. You got a ton of push. You got the mech carrier, but it's gonna be with the good old Wisp. Hey, it's a Wisp.
Yeah, that deserves an applause. I like that. Last pick, Io.
It's a fresh face without a face.
IO plus
It's a caca-wisp.
IO plus Undying, and you put a Soul Rip on top. That's a ton of healing. You say who's gonna do the healing? Well,
We don't know.
Don't need a mech now.
Yeah.
Oh man, and it's like I said, it's not any wisp. Caca wisp
It's caca.
is infamous right there. Oh man. Well, I asked at the beginning of the day, where has it been? Where has it been? I figured LGD might be one of the teams to pull it out, but it actually is going to be EHOME here, and this is it. This is going to be our last best of one. The winner of this gets to move on to face Liquid in a best of 3 lower bracket matchup. The loser, well, they can watch like everyone else and enjoy the hotel and the Singapore atmosphere. With that said, though, we're going to go ahead and hop into the game now. Let's send it over to our 2 casters. It's going to be LD and Merlini going to be joining him right now. Gentlemen, take it away.
Thank you very much, Kato Guy. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. We are live here in the Suntech Exhibition Center getting ready for CDEC to take on EHOME. Ben, this is a crucial match for both teams. CDEC, as always, going with their tried and true staple drafts. They get the Shiki lead nice and early. They do opt to change things up a little bit here with the Earthshaker offlane, but you and I were talking about as the draft developed, that 5th pick from EHOME, it looked like they could have gone for a very heavy pushing lineup, so perhaps CDEC worried about that. They get a little extra deep pushing control from the Earthshaker, and then EHOME throws them a bit of a curveball with the IO. Thoughts on the draft overall?
I think the Shaker was pretty safe, though. They really needed some anti-push, especially considering how EHOME has been playing. They've ran Wisp without any usual partners, no Gyro, no Tiny, no Bristleback, so it's not that off the wall for them. I also saw them run Chen in the group stage, so they kind of like their sustain and maybe using the DK as a siege engine for later in the game.
CDEC grouping up near the tower for the time being, playing it very safe. As our EHOME looks like both teams just want to secure their bounty rune. So we're going to look at the lanes here, a Dragon Knight mid up against the Shiki Lina, who is going to get his early bounty rune. Do you expect a lot of help for the Dragon Knight, or is he just going to have to suck it up?
Depends on what they want to do with the Wisp. They can either, play the normal mid Wisp where you babysit your mid, you harass against the Lina, and then you stack at the same time, or you can kind of pressure the offlane a lot with the IO. So it's a really tough matchup for DK, though. Looks like he's going to need some sort of help.
And for now, the help is not there. Lanham's heading off towards the bottom lane. It's going to be an Undying IO dual lane in the offlane. Very unconventional. How well do you think this is going to go?
I think it's actually pretty decent. Undying's notoriously hard to kill, and they don't actually have that great of a way to kill him. Maybe once they get level 2 chains, but that's going to be a few minutes in. And in the meantime, we see CTY with a super easy matchup against the Earthshaker. So that's actually where EHOME's going to win out the most in this early game.
Well, tri-lane here for CDEC early on. It's going to be the 1v1 mid, and Shiki, play a master of Lina, looking to take advantage, just really punishing Old Chicken as he walks up even near the creeps. He will not be allowed to farm these freely. Meanwhile, bottom lane is the offlane Shaker, of course, can always get his levels from that fissure. Did stop for the boots first here. Lanham's gonna smack him a couple of times, gives him a void in the rear for good measure. But XZ will just continue to leech off experience wherever he can.
Old Chicken's one of the few mid laners that don't usually get a stout shield on his mid melees. Whenever he plays Bristle, it's just a straight bottle rush with maybe 1 or 2 branches, similar with his Dragon Knight. And Shiki's already way ahead in terms of CS, and Old Chicken is really going to need the 2-minute rune or Bottle Crow or something to sustain up in this lane.
Oh my goodness, aggressive getting a zombie claw to the face. That really hurts. Just look at Shiki mid lane. He continues to pressure Old Chicken. Has the salve available, gonna use it now. But still Old Chicken farming quite well, all things considered. 5-0, he's got his bottle. He's crowing it back and forth, or walking it back and forth for now. Doing the best he can in this lane, so overall, do you feel like the teams are doing what they should be in the laning stage? Does anyone need to be making adjustments here early on, Ben?
Well, EHOME want to keep the Spirit Breaker on top. If it's Spirit Breaker plus Lina in the mid, then DK is going to get extremely dominated. So it's important that they keep up this pressure in the top lane and kind of waiting for 4 minute to break out with the Night Stalker, who's simply getting some levels in the bottom lane. I think it's going all right for both teams. I think that DK's maybe not as shut down as they'd like, and Ember's not getting as much farm as they'd like to.
Moving on to Garter here, 11 gets aggressive, continues to smack him, does have the charge, but 11 wants to force it out. Get out of here! So much for Spirit Breaker being an aggressive here on the lady stage. He keeps on diving, and he will have a Soul Rip available. Garter down before he can even cast a charge. I don't think he expected him to go quite that far, but CDEC, in the end, will be hemorrhaging a first blood to EHOME.
I really like that aggro duels with Undying +1 and Wisp is, a lot.
This lane is really strong. I don't know if I've ever seen an IO Undying dual lane, but it works incredibly well.
Yeah, that's really problematic. Now what does the Spirit Breaker do? He has to maybe try and charge somewhere before the 4-minute mark, but we see, I mean, they can potentially like get a TP on Queen of Pain too, and then once that level 6 comes, this tri-lane just might completely fall apart.
Oh, Chicken, he really wants these creeps mid, but quite literally playing with fire to get them as Lena will torch him a bit on the way back. Courier will now arrive so he can resume farming. The other good news for EHOME is in addition to their dual lane top doing well, they also are having a total free farm Queen of Pain in the safe lane. 22-3. You compare that to aggressive December, 7-2. It's clear that when it comes to the side lane trades, EHOME are coming out way on top.
Yeah, and Night Stalker was able to just get his level 3 pretty much uncontested in the bottom lane, and XZ is really struggling in terms of CS 4 and 0. But that's what CTY does best, win his lane, and he's winning it very, very hard.
There's the tether forward from Kaka onto 11. EHOME moving 4 heroes up towards that top rune. It will be a regen battle by the IO. Big opportunity here to get aggressive. CTY continues to push in the lane. XZ still getting his levels. Things considered not too shabby considering the matchup. Very leisurely pace here through the laning stage.
CDEC had no eyes on the top lane though. Both their observer wards are like in the mid and bottom, so they have no clue that the Night Stalker, I mean, they can kind of expect it, but he's been pulling for the first 4 minutes of the game, so they might still consider that he's playing a little bit greedy. But he would probably be level 4 at this time, so I think that they're kind of expecting a move right now.
Oh, they're diving. Here we go. Hey, Q, I got a little surprise for you. It's called the Tombstone. He's trying to TP out. Will Q make it in time? Yes, he will. Beautifully played. Handles it nicely. Meanwhile, mid lane onto Old Chicken. There was a charge from Garter. The crowd really enjoying that one. Nice round of applause for the Dazzle. But still, in some ways, EHOME a win anyway, as they're putting a ton of pressure on this top lane. Ember still really not farming at all. 10 and 4 CS, only 2 CS a minute, Ben.
XZ's trying to make a move around, and they need to get something else on the map. Their top lane's just getting destroyed, and Shiki's the only one that's doing well, and
They
XZ
had
can't
a
do anything.
ward. I'm not sure if they saw this, but XZ. Oh, they get the vision out from the charge. Fissure perfectly planted. Laguna Blade coming in hot. Old Chicken will be tossed in the rubbish. Now Shiki, though, maybe punished. Great counter gank from CTY. And even the IO comes in. All of a sudden, it's a big old dog pile mid. Score now equalizes 3-1 as EHOME strike back.
CDC are feeling the pressure of EHOME's early game, though. They're desperate to make these moves, and it's like halfway in between the T1 and the T2, and it's during the nighttime, and you can just see that they're like, okay, we have to do something about these lanes. We can't.
Do they really want to dive
it going.
11 here? Yeah, that's not happening.
And EHOME hasn't been stacking at all. They've been kind of committing all their resources to shut down CDC's farm, especially the Ember Spirit. Not an early BOT rush for him.
Charge comes out, connects on 11, Garter's here, but the IO's there to turn it, they get the Tombstone out, 2 hero chains, will they burst them in time to Soul Rip on Kaka, keeping him alive? Zombie stacking up, now 4 heroes coming in as Q will try to TP away, he doesn't make it, the Undying gets the kill, then the Night Stalker, as they've just ignored the Tombstone, and they're fighting back into it, Garter charges past it, it will now expire. Lanham getting stunned, the chains there as well, aggressive, good kiting, but Lanham sprints away, Fissure closes the door, XZ slams it in his face, and down he goes. Man, these teams are roaming a lot early. Whew. 8 heroes top, I think that was.
Yeah, Undying also with like 8 decay stacks.
That was scary.
That could have been
Actually,
so much worse.
he still
though.
does.
If he didn't get the Soul Rip out, I think that would have been like a clean 3-for-0. But Old Chicken's, he needs his time to recover, and CTY didn't have his Sonic Wave up, so they also have no more vision up in that top lane. Their Observer Ward died.
And aggressive, still not level 6. This is a dangerous time for him. He's going to tank the decay. The Spirit splashing through. One more, keep on going. Chains are there, and 11, I think he dives for this. Drops the Tombstone, trying to get the vision through the trees. Aggressive, put on those Nikes, no chance. Death by the zombie, once more. And I'll TP away.
Well, that's bad. Shiki also tried to TP top, but he canceled his TP, realizing that he didn't have any opportunity there. Because she's their main like heavy hitter at this point in the game, especially with Ember Spirit being only level 5.5.
You know, Shiki had that Dragon Knight versus Lina matchup, seemed very one-sided through the lane, but he's been forced to rotate enough here that he's not farming all that well. They didn't have the stacks on the side of CDEC either. Only 39 and 8. You compare that to CTY, who's also been ganking, but a bit more efficient with his time, Ben. He's 51 and 11, and on top of that, sitting at a very pretty 0-0 and 2. No deaths yet.
Yeah, that's the benefit of having the Queen of Pain, though. She will connect on those ganks because of the luxury of having the blink. With Lina, she can't really chase people down, especially like a Night Stalker or someone who's tethered up. So she really needs to be able to either get the Yules or get some kills in the early game, but EHOME's not really giving them any space. Pressuring towers all the time with Dragon Knight's ultimate.
And they're on the mid lane. They do connect here for Lanham. Laguna committed. Shiki zaps him. Vampire down. I thought it took garlic, but apparently not.
It's almost level 6 on the IO too, so those kind of moves are going to be really, really painful for the Lina.
So looking at CDEC overall, what are the adjustments you see them needing to make? Because obviously this has not been the start they were looking for with their draft.
I think it's right around now, the 8 to 12 minute before the next nighttime, and just try and get one good relocate on the IO. You need to anticipate his next relocate gank and either like overcommit to a fight, like if Whisper were level 6 at that point, they'd have to have like 3 or 4 heroes mid so they don't get destroyed by the relocate. So just be very careful about how you move around and maybe bait out Ember Spirit with a Grave.
Well, it is daytime now, so a bit of a breather here for CDEC. Darkness not yet online, only a level 5 Night Stalker, but they continue to keep the pressure up. They have tried to rotate aggressive, give him an easier lane bottom now, and he is beginning to pull back in terms of farm and relevance. Probably needs to do it soon because look at this, EHOME starting to cluster up top lane. Looks like they're going to bring 4 heroes into position. And I'm the only guy not there. He's sitting off bottom.
But we also see an aggressive movement from CDEC in the mid lane too.
Yeah, it is
Smoking
daytime.
with 3.
That'll be the ideal time to go for these plays.
It's not that big of a kill though. It's on a Night Stalker and it's going to be during daytime. And I don't even know if they're going to get this kill.
They can't transition into a tower even if they do get it, whereas EHOME are going to take one. But there's your fissure, trapping out Lana, follow stunt there. Laguna again, that's some serious hate from Shiki. Feels like every Laguna's been on the Night Stalker this game, but they do get the kill again. The trade though will be EHOME easily and comfortably grabbing a tier 1 top. Relocates online, Ben. I don't know if they're going to give this one up freely. They'll TP1 towards mid. They ping out Q. Goes off to retreat, but yeah, you see the differences. CDEC can't go for the objectives.
Yeah, I think that exchange was actually more beneficial to EHOME, even though CDEC get a kill out of it. Because now, like, they're going to be heavily pressed during nighttime to kind of protect their own jungle. They have one Observer Ward, but with that T1 already down, they can approach from multiple angles, and they're not going to feel safe anywhere on the map. And the Night Stalker is going to be controlling this Ember Spirit.
EHOME with the comfortable early advantage, but we have seen them with a couple of these drafts where they're designed to win the lanes, they get ahead early, and sometimes they struggle to close it out. CDEC also a team that has shown quite a few comebacks over this tournament and in recent history. Definitely not a situation where EHOME have won by any stretch, but the laning stage has gone well now, and they start to bring their next items into the picture. We're going to see a Yule Scepter under construction for CTY. 11, looks like a possible mech being built up by him. The urn's already complete on Kaka, Old Chicken. We'll see. It seems like the Blink Dagger is the popular Dragon Knight item nowadays. And, or potentially some other form of combat item like a BKB. Carter charges in, top lane, Old Chicken doesn't see it coming. He will get connected on initially, but they need a bash if they want to go for this, and there is a relocate. Not gonna happen.
They have a deep Observer Ward too. Now it's going to be nighttime for like the next 5 minutes, and that's a really big problem for CDEC. CDEC have a slightly better late game though, and you'd expect the team with Undying to be ahead. Not this well ahead, but still pretty far ahead in the early game.
You know, making their way back through the CDEC jungle. Looking for the wraparound here. They are smoked up and they're about to find Q as he breaches high ground. Hey, how you doing, Dazzle? Grave, no chance.
Nice Stalker scouting on mid. They see that Shiki's alone. Maybe
they get the kill on the Lina. He runs into the trees. They're losing sight of him. They drop the tomb. He now tries to tunnel past, but he's not going to make it. He whiffs the stun. Lanham's there. It's going to be a Pixie. He Fisher blocks everybody else away, but the Breathe Fire connects all over the fissure. Comes the quad bolt. They get one. They relocate forward, looking for more. XZ hounded and forced back. He dunks. It's a decent one, but they need more follow for this. Aggressive arrives. Reinforcements are here with the IO down. Old Chicken won't get that safe relocate back. Remnant forward. Bash him around. Smack him down. A dead Old Chicken Dragon. That's something new. Lanham on the way out. Can he escape? There's going to be a chain soon. Has the mana for it momentarily, but Undying's also arriving. They'll grab Carter as well. A 2 for 3. Aggressive now running, but Q caught out. Gets off the weave way too late. Death again from the decay, and now Aggressive, the last man standing. They're even thinking about diving him, but EHOME out of spells. Low on health and mana. They'll have to let him go. A 2 for 4. No mercy from EHOME.
On top of that, EHOME managed to sneak down some wards, one next to the T2 in mid and T2 on bottom. So CDEC, where do they really farm right now? EHOME, they could have chased that, but then they have to deal with the Spirit Breaker during the respawn, so that was actually a really good back by them. It could have been actually slightly worse. They had to use a Tombstone to get vision on Shiki, and if he had died without the use of the Tombstone, I think that fight in the Secret Shop would have been so much worse for CDEC.
EHOME are going to make their way up the ramp, thinking about a push on mid. There's still no Yules complete on the Lena, so she's very vulnerable if she gets caught here. Will retreat down, but walks past the well-placed Observer Ward. Lanham not happy that he's getting dewarded, thinks about a jump forward. Not going to go for it just yet, as we see Aggressive hanging out near the tower. 5v5 posturing for both teams, and, well, the big item that could change that. This mech, now grabbed by 11. Along with the Yules on CTY. CDEC, they do not want to give this tower up, Ben. Can they hold it?
Maybe waiting for darkness on Lanham, and CDEC, they have to kind of hide under the cover of their tower, but sooner or later they're going to be forced to fight. Undying with a mech, Tombstone up.
How do they take this fight?
Try and blow someone up instantly, but...
Oh, on Chicken, probably
don't
not the
have
one
any
you're going to blow up
vision.
instantly, as Lanham finally makes his move. The rotation, you knew it was coming. Shiki does manage to stun him. They heal from across the trees, but blasted away by the fiery breath of Old Chicken once more. EHOME pressing down mid now. They'll take the tower. Do they go for 2? Looks like they want to.
They still have dark. I mean, they just use darkness, and CDEC just don't see anything at this point. Again,
they're not really split pushing. They're not taking other objectives. They're trying to hold Ben, and they're failing at that. As XZ is going to get dove back. Quad bolts available. They decide not to use it. Instead, they're going to go for Q. He gets destroyed once more. Garter charging into the fray, but they have the quad bolt still in reserve. CDEC have to be very careful about this, and the dives continue. EHOME threatening to go high ground here as the Emperor Spirit will jump back. But as he's zoned away, EHOME are freed up to continue their push.
The high ground's way too early at this point. They can easily get 50
Oh, no, I meant for kills, not for taking the racks. They were thinking about a remnant forward from Aggressive, getting up the chains, but the quad bolt's there. It hits on 4. CTY with the massive plays. They try to finish up Old Chicken. Shiki will barely be able to do it, but now Lanham rushes in again on to Shiki. The Graves there. XZ looking for the counterplay. Can't quite finish the job. Blink and a scream. Gotcha. CTY strikes again. Insane damage output in that fight, and Garter says, screw it, I'm going in. Charges deep onto 11, the relocate back now from the IO. Bash knows the Void's going to interrupt the auto attack. CTY, can he get another? Garter backing off, there's no charge. IO's back into the fray now. They do stun CTY, trying to hold him in position. Lanham charging forward, CDEC getting bullied and beaten. They'll try to find Garter here as well. The air charge gets canceled. CTY finds another. That's 3 for him. Shaker down as well. An endless slaughter in the shadow of the tier 2, with 2 buybacks apiece, 1 for each side. It ends up being a 3 for 5, a dieback on the Spirit Breaker. Not done yet though. Lanham looking for more. There's the Yule Scepter setting up. Aggressive, does he have a remnant out? No, he gets silenced. Can they save him? The Graves there will allow him to hang on for now, but they stun him. They control him, and he may just die. Jaunt's back, not gonna happen. That's a 4th kill for CTY. Now 5-0-7. My God, talk about a one-man wrecking crew.
Ooh, that was like the most painful 5 minutes you could hope for. As
Just sitting there getting paddled the entire time.
I mean, it's kind of like they don't want to fight versus nighttime, but their lineup is suited that you kind of have to, and no one's going to be able to farm out safely versus a Night Stalker.
Yeah, apologies about that, guys. The Dota client got reset, so just want to look out for the players here as far as the sound goes. Well, Ben, how do you settle down?
You have to kill the Wisp. The Wisp is like, kind of gives them 6 lives during a team fight. CTY was out of mana, and then he like bought back on the Wisp, relocated, and fed him like 400 mana, and he was able to clean up, I think, like 2 or 3 more heroes because of that. And Wisp is still a strong hero. You don't necessarily have to have an ideal Wisp partner with, makes use of the overcharge attack speed and whatnot. Just having him as a mana and HP battery is good enough. Kill him quickly. Laguna him.
Comes the smoke from CDEC. Shiki leading the way now. But EHOME are pretty well positioned to dodge this. 4 heroes towards the north now. It's going to be all 5 heading past the tier 1.
But every time EHOME wants to fight, they're either fighting during nighttime or when darkness is up. And they're just, kind of biding their time until 20 minutes, which is the next point of the game. CDEC, they don't really have the damage output to go for a Snake Roche, which is kind of what you would want at this point. No Medallion up on the Dazzle and not enough damage on the Lina to kind of chew through Roche.
Well, they do have the darkness now, so if they want to fight in another nighttime, they have that option available. EHOME are going to use this opportunity to push down the top lane. It may at least come as a trade for CDEC trying to grab a tier 1, but Ben, this lineup just does not push very quickly without significant farm. Only Lina offers much at all as far as tower pressure goes, and she's just deep pushing mid.
But now they're looking for some other sort of kills. They ordered up EHOME's jungle, hoping for someone to be out there. You charge them, then you either kill them with a Lina or Ember Spear, and you slowly catch back up by kind of limiting the places that EHOME can go. But I don't really think EHOME's interested in farming their jungle. They haven't really stacked at all this entire game.
I don't think EHOME's very interested in farming, period. Oh, EHOME within the deny there. They just want to fight. They might be the most aggressive team at this tournament that still remains.
Yeah, their 5-man's still incredibly strong. Dragon Knight doesn't really have that many items. His CS is still pretty low, but I guess everyone's CS is fairly low, aside from the Queen of Pain, who has an Orchid now to complement her Yules. So now Ember Spirit's just... What is he going to do now? He has to deal with...
it's like, oh yeah, go for the Manta, but he doesn't even have the Yasha yet. It's like he's nowhere close to...
You need like Manta and Lincoln's or just a plain BKB to kind of deal with this. There's like 2 sources of silence that are pretty long duration and a DK stun.
Dragon Knight's getting a BKB. After that, he may just go into a blink, at which point, is that even enough? There's so much lockdown.
Yeah, they do have the Blink Dagger on XZ though. That's kind of a big turning point, and they're going to all-out commit to...
Unfortunately, it, I believe, has just been scouted, yeah. So you won't have that element of surprise. It's also only a level 1 Echo Slam. They're not nearly as scary.
It's still what you're hoping for. It's just, that positioning that you need to just blow up the IO, Blink Echo Fissure into Laguna, and then you can take the fight from there. And he won't have buyback for the next fight.
And they better blow her up, because she's got a Glimmer Cape, they have the Soul Rip and the mech. A lot of ways to keep Kaka alive here, if you don't instantly delete that hero from the fight.
They don't have enough sustained damage though. I think even if they kill the Wisp, they still might not win the fight. Lina is not that great at sustain. Ember doesn't really have that many items, and he has to worry about all of these disables. Shaker, as you mentioned, was under level.
Relocating.
Oh no.
Oh! Maybe should have gone in a bit sooner with that Blink Silence before the relocate. Timing just a slightly off there. Good reactions from Aggressive though, as he dodges a crucial bullet.
Time to change the pace. 20 minutes.
So rounds 3 of aggression, I guess, from EHOME now likely to commence. It is officially nighttime again.
They kind of need to pick up a gem soon, but Night Stalker's Scepter is actually not that quick in coming. He still needs 1150 gold. And see, this is going to be an unexpected one. You do not expect the enemy to smoke as soon as it hits nighttime. But again, these Observer Wards setup will probably allow them to win this fight.
The difference maker. Hey, Lanham, I got a treat for you. No, doesn't get the Yules off, but then they find the Fissure initiation. Laguna from long range. They need more backup for this. Huge commitment from Aggressive. He gets silenced, though. Lanham is tanky bullets for the team, and on the backside of the fight, Q's been caught out. They're going to destroy the Dazzle. The Night Stalker will fall, but they've thrown so much at him. They need to get the hell away, and this has made 11 very angry. Finally, the Dazzle does fall. And CDEC chase onwards. Can they find, EHOME chase onwards. Can they find more? The Yules Orchid combo. Awkward way to start the fight from C2I, but it works. EHOME finding a second, and they blew everything for that. The Echo Slam, the Laguna Blade. It could well be time to say hello to an old friend, Ben. Roshan might be waiting.
Oh, that's super unfortunate. That was a very good maneuver by CDEC, but they unfortunately didn't get the chains out on the Night Stalker, so it took them way too long to kill him, and then on top of that, everyone just TP'd in, and that fight was over as soon as they didn't get the Night Stalker kill.
It was probably the worst hero to find. He's like just out of range of the Yules. If they get the Yules off there, it's a totally different fight, but unfortunately wasn't the case. And good reactions by Lanham to just book it to the left and scurry away. Now they take the Roshan. It's probably something CDEC realizes is happening. Q has just gotten into position, but there's really nothing they can do about this. Not with the Tombstone on the high ground and the level of farm that EHOME have.
Yeah, normally at this point, if you're on the losing side of a Night Stalker, you'd maybe try and split push, but as soon as he gets Ag's Gem, you're never going to be really able to do anything, and then eventually Queen of Pain will get Scythe of Vice, so like no matter what items you get, you're still not going to be able to farm up. So CDEC kind of forced into this position where they have to constantly fight EHOME because there's pretty much no option for split pushing. Again, their only small chance was maybe smoke roshing earlier when EHOME were in the top side of the map, but that option is long gone.
Oh, Ben, you wanted a gem. You get a gem. I has now picked one up. Night Stalker eggs. Also complete. Say goodbye to any semblance of vision if you're CDEC. If he wasn't already public enemy #1 for Shiki, he certainly is now.
I don't really know how they're supposed to win team fights though. It's so difficult. Like when you're an Earthshaker against Darkness, you can't even see like any of these heroes that you need to kill. Like Wisp, you'll see his tether, but you won't actually see what the hero is. And the heroes that you want to see, like Queen of Pain, are also just going to be in a position where it's just not going to be the great echo that you're hoping for ever. CTY.
Bold maneuver. CTY getting off the Sansa de Garter, kills him in front of his buddy. Aggressive cries, sobs softly, but can't stop it. They even relocate. Heavy commitment here. Hoping for additional kills. CTY prances onwards, but they are going to be able to set up on the IO bottom. Hello, Kaka. And likely goodbye. Yep. Death by 4, but it's a 4-hero rotation just to kill an IO. And it's after they lost their Spear Breaker. They will get the tower tonight, though, and that is a pretty decent exchange in the end.
I don't really think they actually needed the BKB on Dragon Knight this early. I guess they were kind of trying to play it safe because they think that the only way that CDEC can get back into the game is they win a big team fight, but CDEC are trying to fight on their own terms, and having like a Blink stun on Dragon Knight as well as a Blink Orchid on Queen of Pain really opens up your options as the Wisp relocate, and CDEC are actually squeezing more farm than EHOME want them to at this point.
They do match the silence aggressive. Blink was already committed, though. They don't have to follow up, and while that's happening, Shiki also maneuvering through his own jungle, but he's gonna run past that Radiant Ward. This has been doing so much work for EHOME. Always scouting the rotations. Now the Quap BKB, my god, CTY is massive. 6-0 and 8, leader in terms of CS, leader in terms of kills, ends assists. He's been everywhere, he's basically done everything. It's not often you see a safe lane Quap have this explosive of a performance, but CTY throwing the team on his back here.
It's not rare for CTY, man.
For CTY, it's not rare. For other players, not so common.
CDEC still trying to continue with like the super aggressive wars. They had one near like the bottom T2. They have one on the top T1. Just always looking for charge targets, for easy solo picks that they so desperately need. But EHOME aren't really giving it to them, and everyone who's kind of out on their lonesome just feels like, oh, I could die to Spear Breaker here, and they'll just back off. And of course, CDEC have to worry about the relocate if they do commit for those sort of kills.
How do you see the ideal tempo for EHOME? At this point, like, they've won the laning stage, they've got a nice 12k gold lead roughly.
Shadow Blade or Blink on DK, and then keep going for picks because CDEC's not interested in fighting. They're just huddling around their T3. They're gonna time down the Aegis and just wait for that perfect opportunity to strike when, you know, they have vision on all of EHOME and can get a jump on like 3 heroes with Echo. It's gonna come at some point if they're patient enough.
Well, there's the Blink that you just mentioned. Is there a timer here for EHOME? Like, do they have to finish this game soon, or do you see them having a long opportunity to
They just need to keep CDEC's farm under control and with constant picks. And as long as they're like always scared of like a Blink jump into a relocate, then they can't really farm that the way they want them to. But EHOME just have to make sure that they don't give away Roche. As long as they keep getting Roaches, their timeline keeps getting extended and extended.
Run! The zombies are coming! CTY as well. Queen of Pain arrives. There's the silence. Garter. Very low, probably gonna tick down here to the poison. It's gonna be close. There you go! CTY, the perfect timing. Has the BKB, has the Aegis. They commit the Lagoon on him, but he's coming back for round 2. And with the BKB, can at least back himself away. Could even dive in deeper. Oh, Chicken wants to go. CTY wanted to back him in. That's okay. He's gonna BKB too. It's a rampage right through CDEC's old stomping grounds. Welcome to your new home, Aggressive, the Fountain. I mean, Jesus. When they win, they are very quick about it, Ben. Or at least trying to be here. They'll silence Aggressive again. He may have overextended. Stunned up. That's not the Yule Scepter that you were looking for. Shiki. Oh, there's Shiki's Yule Scepter. Okay, well, that's not going to save him anyway. Actually, it was the Quap one on the first initiation, but they get another kill. They say, screw the bottom lane. We're going to go top instead. EHOME taking out, I mean, how many was that? 4? 5? The Spirit Breaker, I guess, got away, but...
They just play so well around CTY, though. Every time he blinks in, his whole team's like right there to follow him, and you know they kind of play as one cohesive unit. They give him a super easy lane, and he also like manages to keep up his farm at a crazy pace relative to everyone else. Like he's actually, like it doesn't matter where he goes, he's just massively overfarmed, and again with a beyond godlike streak on CTY.
What went wrong for you this game for CDEC? Was it just the lanes? Was it the draft?
Well, so bottom lanes, pretty much an auto loss for Earthshaker. There's like almost no way he can win that lane. Mid lane is a win for Lina, so really the only wild card is the top lane, and then they got the super early kill on the Spirit Breaker, as well as just aggressive, always just having to sit back, not able to farm at all as the Ember Spear. And on top of that, they had 3 heroes there. If they had like, you know, if they sacked the lane or something like that, or if there were only 2 heroes with one in the jungle pulling and farming, it would have been okay for them. But that top lane was just such a massive loss to them in the first 4 minutes that Night Stalker just kind of cleaned up and took control because he got free levels and a free level 6 because he was able to pull on bottom.
And that first death was avoidable. He had charge, there was no way to cancel it, but he just didn't expect them to dive so far, so kind of underestimated the willingness of EHOME to get aggressive, and then, like you said, things just started to crumble. CTY, Prowl's top. I mean, he's gonna see 4 heroes. They don't even care. Relocate comes through. Aggressive. He's running away from his Dazzle, and this means there's nothing to save him. Kind of panics in the heat of the moment, though. He may have died regardless. Now, Old Chicken on the hunt. Even has the Yasha for a bit of additional move speed. They're gonna set up here on the Dazzle. Gets off the Saltgrave, but now Lanham's working on Cheeky. Laguna just shrugged off as he continues to hunt forward. They finish off the Dazzle, and now they look for Cheeky too. Sprinting for the well. No escape. Just death. As EHOME will smack down CDEC on the big stage. EHOME! They do it in style, and they end it with a 5-man wipe and a smoke proudly celebrating.
You watch CTY at the end there, he had the Orchid on the Earthshaker as he blinked in too, just giving no room for CDEC at all to get back in the game with a big Echo Slam.
That was a very satisfying game to watch, just to see a team like, they get a lead and they just do not let it go. They just close them out, choke the living daylights out of CDEC and never look back.
And of course, CTY's Queen of Pain, Owen, was praising it all throughout the group stage.
Well, I think with good reason, Ben. That was probably the best quad performance I've seen in a month or two.